Hey, we're live. I think we're live. I'm doing it through a new software tonight. So if I have to work out some bugs, I apologize right now in advance. But it is time to have our Thursday night discussion about the best baits for the week and just general what's going on around here in East Texas in the world of bass fishing. Hope all you guys are having a great week. Getting ready to do some fishing this weekend, hopefully. See, we got our first comments dropping in right now. Jack Attack, Kevin Jones. We got Big Todd up in the house. Raging Cajun, Chase Clark, Rob's World, Brian House, C-Bach. A lot of the regulars showing up. First and foremost, I really appreciate it. Case and Gabby, that's a new one that I don't recognize. Maybe you've been here before, but I don't recognize that one. Clayton Carlisle, Blake Horton, Big John's Life. A lot of folks joining us tonight. We appreciate you joining us so much. Coming to you from the garage. Somebody's asking, how are you, B-Law? Well, B-Law is fantabulous. Had a great day on the water today. Had a great time with a good friend of mine. Caught a few fish here and there. Wasn't great, wasn't bad, but we had a great time. Went out and explored the Lake of the Pines. Did some filming today. You guys will see that next week out there for Lake of the Pines. Shirts. The Fish Life / Grunt Style shirts, which if I do say so myself, are pretty fantabulous, are available for pre-order at yourlakefortguide.com. They will only be available on the pre-order pricing for one more day. So there's a discounted price on it right now. Go over there, order them up if you want to get that discounted price on those Grunt Style Fish Life shirts. So appreciate that. Let's get into some baits. This system is a little bit weird. I'm trying to see, here we go. Sorry, had to change my chat settings so that I could still see you guys' comments. Like I said, new software on the live stream tonight, so I'm learning as I go. All right, let's talk about top 5 baits. Hey, there's a little bit of a frog bite developing. It's not great, but we're so close to this fall deal trying to get started in a big way. I think one good cold front is going to be about all it's going to take, and it should be on big time. Apologize, I'm extremely dry mouthed and dehydrated from soccer practice. I fished all day and then I went straight to soccer practice where I run around like a maniac with my kids. So there's a good frog bite going. We're getting some blow-ups on the new 6-inch frog, also the Spro frog as well. Catching just a few here and there early in the morning seems like the best time to do that. Doesn't last real long. Don't stay with it all day, or at least I haven't been able to get them going all day. Maybe the most dependable bait that we catch fish on every day, and it has been for the last couple weeks, and it still is. It's still the stick bait, the 5-inch stick bait, rigging it weedless, weightless Texas rig on a 3-aught EWG hook. Anything with some blue flake seems to be the best color. I do catch some on some watermelon red type colors as well. Hey, the chatterbait's hanging in there. They're not biting the chatterbait as good as they have been, but we are still picking up a few fish, a couple fish, handful of bites a day, every day it seems like on the chatterbait. So that's still a player that you want to keep in your hands. Like I said, we're progressing more towards that fall bite. And this poor guy, he's starting to look a little worse for the wear. As you can kind of see there, he's starting to just get a little bit of wear and tear on. They are starting to bite the old gold chrome quarter-ounce lipless crankbait again. It is just starting to get going, guys. And this bait right here is one you want to tie on and leave it on for the next month. It'll get better and better and better. Great bait to catch big numbers of fall bass. Which is one of the coolest parts about the fall, is we get our biggest number days. We get our days where these fish get in these mega groups and they school up on bait. And once you get one to bite, boy, it seems like they all bite. And you can sit there and catch a whole bunch of fish in a short period of time. It's an amazing experience. Fall fishing is awesome, awesome, awesome. Another bait that's starting to be really productive is one that we don't talk about a lot. We talk about swim baits a lot. Like, we talk a lot about swim baits on this show. I love throwing swim baits. You guys know this. I work with Smash Tech Custom Baits. He's obsessed with swim baits. He's got 37 different models or whatever it is now of swim baits. One of the ones that doesn't get talked about very much, we talked about the Poacher back during the springtime, but the Baby Poacher. This is a bait that we just don't really discuss. It's not a big bait. As you can see, it fits in the palm of my hand. It's a really small profile bait, but it has a real fast kick. The tail kicks real fast, and it's got that wide body, and that wide body has just a little trimmer to it as it's going through there. I'm rigging this up on a 5-aught on a Flashy Swimmer. And this bait is these small bait fish get piled up in the backs of these creeks. And guys, they're back there. Like, these big groups of small bait fish are back there in such a way, it's unbelievable. Like, when you're in the right area, it's so blatantly obvious. You may go back into a creek and see some bait, but I promise you, when you see what I'm seeing, you won't have any doubt. You'll be like, oh, that's what old Billy was talking about, because it's an unbelievable amount of small bait fish and these huge schools of them. And this thing with the owner flashy swimmer with that little willow blade looks like a little group of bait fish running through there. And it is definitely a player right now, and it will continue to be so. Now let's talk about something that's a little special. I'm so happy to see this bait here. This bait is one of my favorite baits of all time. It's hard to, people ask me a lot, hey Billy, what's your favorite way to catch them? What's your favorite bait? And my honest answer, and this is not me being smart aleck, it's just honest, my favorite bait is the one that gets the next bite. Because whatever it takes to catch them, I got to catch them every day. I'll do whatever it takes. But there are certain ways, certain baits, certain techniques that you lean to. And when you're talking about fall, you got to cover a lot of water efficiently because the fish move a lot. We're starting to get to that time of the year where the fish are moving around a lot. They're just starting to do it, but it's going to continue to accelerate going forward. There's a lot of movement going on. And when they move a lot, you got to move a lot, which means you got to cover a lot of water really efficiently. There's really not much better way than what we talked about on the Guys Network last night, old shallow cranking. And yes, folks, I put that video up last night on the Movement 80X because they have started biting the Movement 80X this week. We're not just wrecking them on it yet. We're not catching just tons of fish on it yet. But this is something that's coming. We're in front of this bite. You've heard guys say, hey, I'm in front of the fish. This shallow cranking deal in the backs of the creeks, it's coming. It's on its way. It's just starting. What I love about this bait, and what I really love about pairing these two baits together on the deck of my boat, both of them I can fish very fast and very efficiently. If the timber's heavier, this will bounce off the timber better. This will get hung up on the timber. But if there's a lot of grass, this doesn't do as good in thicker grass, and this does. The little light trap will go through some pretty thick grass pretty easily. What I love is both of these baits, right, can catch numbers of fish, and this bait can really catch numbers of fish, and this bait can really upsize your average size. So you can find them with this bait, you can upsize them with this bait, and when they quit biting, you pick up this bait and you clean out what's left. You could go forward with those three baits right there and do some serious damage. And I just realized that we did a top 6 tonight. I don't know if y'all caught that, but we did 6, not 5. So I don't know if I should apologize for that because we just gave you an extra bait. Maybe I should apologize because now you got to go rig up an extra rod for Saturday morning. But I'm really excited about that Movement 80X. They're already starting to bite it pretty good, and I can't wait for that deal to really get going in its full glory because we will start catching big bags of fish consistently day to day to day on that bait. It's unbelievable. Are you guys getting bad signal problems? Let me know if you are. Food for thought. Lipless killed it last week, 10-pounder. There you go. Somebody caught a 10-pounder. That's awesome. Billy, has the lake turned where you're fishing, or are you avoiding that area? Well, that's a good question. So let's talk about the lake turnover. So we had a little bit of a turnover. Honestly, I think we had a little bit of a turnover back in July when we had that cold day in July. Now we've had kind of a slight reestablishment of thermocline. And I think here in the last week or so, the lake has done a little bit of a turnover again. I've noticed a lot more of the bryozoans, a lot more floating debris. The good news is none of it, not the one in July, not this one, has been a hard enough turnover to be like oh my God, the lake's turning over, it's going to suck for 2 weeks. Like, that's not happening, guys. It's not happening this year. That's a good thing. There is a little turnover effect. Here's what I do. When the lake turns over, even when it turns over hard, what I do is I go so far back in the creek, there ain't enough depth for the lake to turn over. It can't turn over in 2 feet of water. What's it going to turn? So that's kind of my strategy when the lake turns over. So I get way back in the creek. I find that bait fish push way back in there, and bass are soon to follow. And I get back there and I pick off the residential fish that are already there, and I sit there and I wait for more to come to me. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. Now, here's the other caveat to that. Bass fishing is always a moving puzzle pieces. I'll get back there and sit in the back of that creek right now, and I've got residential fish, and I've got an overabundance of bait fish that's kind of firing these fish up for me. So we're catching those residential fish. Now, as more fish come to me and that back of that creek bite gets real good, the other thing that's happening is a lot of those fish are reestablishing in big schools offshore as well as the fall bite gets going. So the same time that the backs of the creek starts getting really, really good, the offshore bite starts getting really, really good as well. And then I'll be able to kind of split my day up, run some back of creek stuff, whack them back there, run out to a couple of really good spots offshore, whack them out there. And then that's when the fall bite just gets like boom, boom, boom. And that's where we get our big number days, because we got big schools of fish in the back of the creek grouped up. We got big schools of fish offshore grouped up. They're all surrounded by the most amount of bait fish grouped up that you'll see for the entire year. And it is a feeding frenzy. And if you can't tell, I'm pretty fond of fall fishing. That's a good question. First notable cold front possible next week. Yeah, towards the end of next week. So like a week from tomorrow, we're supposed to get a pretty, hopefully significant cold front that weekend. I can't wait for that. Joining us tonight from Clovis, California. Got somebody all the way from Clovis, California. Eddie Espinoza, man. We can't say thank you enough, dude. That is awesome. Thank you so much. Should I fish the river on Hubbard this weekend? If I was going to Ray Hubbard, I'm probably the last person to take advice on about Ray Hubbard. I'll be honest with you. If I was going to Ray Hubbard, though, I would go to the river, and I would fish the riprap rocks where the bridge pitches. You got natural funnel points from the bridges and all those riprap rocks. I'd fish around those corners and down the sides of the riprap close to the pinch point corners, because as fish migrate, they got to funnel through those bridges, and it's naturally going to collect them for you. That's what I'd be doing. See, Brian Howell says he was the kayaker that I talked to yesterday. It was nice to meet you. Man, it was great to meet you as well, brother. I appreciate you saying hello to me. I always love to talk to you guys about that. How many spots do you have for Lake Welsh on your app? Well, now, we used to have, so Lake Welsh is part of our East Texas Power Plant Lake package on the Fish Life app. We used to have 4 lakes on there: Lake Monticello, Lake Welsh, Martin Creek, and Brandy Branch. And we have 5 spots on each lake for a total of 20 spots on that 4-lake package. 3 of those lakes are really small. Martin Creek's not really that small, but the other 3 lakes are very small, so we only put 5 spots apiece on each lake. Now Monticello's closed. We've already talked about that. So we have, I believe we have 7 spots on Welsh, 7 on Brandy Branch, and 8 on Martin Creek, or it could be 8 on Welsh. It's 7 or 8 on Welsh itself. Oh, we got some thoughts and prayers going up. I missed something. Fishing the Midwest. Can I get some prayers? My kidney isn't working like it should. Might be back on dialysis, and I've really been depressed and down in the dumps. Fishing Midwest, man. I'm so sorry to hear that, brother. I will definitely send some prayers your way, man. I sure hope that gets better for you. Just keep the faith, man. God has a way of working things out for however they're supposed to work out. We're not supposed to understand why. We're just supposed to believe in Him and move forward with a positive attitude and love others above ourselves. And we're definitely going to send some love your way, my man. I really hope you get better. Somebody asked, why abbreviated subscriber counts on YouTube? So if you're going to ask me why YouTube does the things the way YouTube does, you're going to have to go to another channel to get that answer, because I have no idea. But I do know this. Obviously, they do something right. Either that or they were just the first to do what they did, because YouTube has become one of the biggest things on earth. I mean, it's just an enormous company. Recap of the top 5. So recap of the top 5. Stick bait, most consistent fish catcher, especially when the wind's not blowing through a 5-inch stick bait. Something with blue flakes been working really well. Chatterbait still getting some bites. Frog will get you a few bites early in the day. Don't stick with it too long though. 1/4 ounce lipless crankbait and gold chrome's been really good. Shad pattern movement ADX has been good to catch bigger fish, starting to get several bites a day on it. The other thing that's really starting to work is the Baby Poacher from Smash Tech, rigged on a 5-aught owner flashy swimmer. There's your top 5 recap. Have you fished the bigger hollow body frogs on mats? If so, what's your thoughts? When would you switch from one to the other? Okay, I have kind of a unique outlook. I know Ronnie Kelly shares the same outlook as I do on this. Me and Ronnie, we don't see eye to eye on everything. We do things differently sometimes. We do things the same sometimes. This is one thing that we believe the exact same thing on. When it comes to the size of your frog, it really doesn't matter. I've heard guys say, hey, you got to throw the smaller one sometimes, or hey, you got to throw this bigger one to catch a bigger fish, blah, blah, blah. Man, they're biting the splash. And you can work that medium-sized frog and make it look real big, and you can work that medium-sized frog and make it look real small by how big of action you put on the frog, how sharp and how crazy and violent the action is. You can really snap that slack and make that frog throw a lot of water and do some crazy stuff, or you can just be real subtle with your pops, and that frog will just go, and won't hardly throw any water and look real small. So the size, I use the medium-sized frog only. That's the only size I use. And if I'm wanting to really draw them to it, make a lot of noise, I feel like the fish are aggressive, I work it more aggressively and throw more water. And if I'm wanting to be more subtle, I think it needs more finesse, then I work it as such. So that's what I love about that mid-sized frog, is you can do anything you want to with it. It's so versatile, you can present it however you need to. How am I fishing the lipless? That lipless crankbait, the small lipless crankbait, okay, you can go about it a couple different ways. The way that I like to do it, and you kind of got to have a real good feel for this bait, I like to throw it on 15-pound fluorocarbon. I like to throw it on a 7.4 medium heavy rod with a lot of tip on it, but I am really feeling for that grass early. You got to feel the grass early to snap it in time to get it out of the grass with that lighter setup. But that helps me keep them hooked up, and it makes it where I can throw this bait. One thing about this bait, I want to be able to throw it as far as I can, cover as much water as I can, and if fish pop up schooling anywhere around me, I want to have the best chance to hit them by throwing it far away if I need to. So that's why I set it up like that. You can also set it up on like a 7.3 heavy with some tip, or a 7.4, you can use the same rod, 7.4 medium heavy, but put 30-pound braid on there. If you're having trouble in the grass, and you just keep coming back with wadded up grass, I'm not trying to knock you, but what I'm telling you is that's because you lack experience in fishing this bait in grass, and you're not feeling the grass early enough in the process and ripping it kind of almost preemptively before it gets bogged down. You're hesitating a split second too long before you snap it, and it's getting bogged down before you rip it out. You have to snap it right before it gets bogged down, or it doesn't work. But if you use that 30-pound braid, it will rip it out of that grass better and make it easier on you if you're new to fishing a lipless bait in grass. So a couple different ways you can set it up. Make sure your rod has some tip on it, because the last thing you want to do, it's real easy, guys. You got to think about this 1/4 ounce bait. It's pretty small bait, and it's got these treble hooks on there, and that's great. But usually all you've got in that fish is that one tiny little hook, and when that's all you got holding on to that fish, you need a lighter tip. You need a lot of give to act as a shock absorber to keep that fish pinned up. What about the 6th Sense lipless? I think that the 6th Sense Quake lipless is the best lipless crankbait on the market. I really do. It has a hard vibration. I love the Quake lipless crankbait from 6th Sense Fishing. Unfortunately, right now, top secret, I can't tell it. If I tell you, I have to kill you, but for right now, they don't have a 1/4 ounce model, so I have to throw the old Bill Lewis Rat L trap in the 1/4 ounce when I want that lighter action and that smaller profile over that shallow grass this time of year with those small bait fish for right now. What should we have tied on for the Berkeley tournament? Well, here, let me tell you something about that. The Berkeley tournament is still several weeks away, almost a month away. And in the fall, things change real fast. And if it stays kind of hot, it might be kind of similar to what we're doing now. If we get a couple hard cold fronts, it might be completely different than what we're doing now. What I will tell you is I do a live stream every Thursday night. So the night, or the Thursday night before the Berkeley tournament, you can stop in right here at 8:30, and I'll do the same thing. I'll tell you exact baits I'm using that are working best for me that week. I'll answer any questions I can on how to use those baits most efficiently and do everything I can to help you. That's what we're about here at Your Lake Fork Guide. Loving our fellow man, helping each other catch more and bigger fish. That's what we always have strived to do from day one. And we will never ever stop striving to accomplish that goal. Going to Lake Falcon next week for 2.5 days. What guide would you recommend for one day other than subscribing to the Fish Life app? Well, the Lake Falcon package is actually going away at the end of this month. Our guy down there decided he didn't want to do it anymore, and hey, that's fine. We understand that. So the Fish Life app package on Lake Falcon is going away at the end of this month. And the reason that is because we don't have a guy to keep it updated. If we had a guy to keep it updated, we keep it going, but we're not going to sell you something that's not the most current and up-to-date info that you can possibly get, because we have very high standards for what we put on that app. As far as guides down there, the resident guide that's down there year-round, it's probably the best known is John Adami. He's the guy that I see catching the most. I don't know any of those guys personally down there. I just know John from his social media presence. I know he catches a lot of big fish. He probably runs as many trips as anybody does down there. I don't know him personally, don't know his personality, can't vouch for him or discount him either way on that, but I know that dude catches some fish. I see a lot of his pictures pop up on social media, and he does a good job of putting people on fish. So John Adami would probably be the guy that I would call first if I was trying to hire a guy on Falcon. So little grass on hold on, I lost that. So little grass on Canyon Lake. Any fall tips? Yeah, I would think that, if you don't have grass, then go to smaller profile square bills like the Crush 50 from 6 Cents Fishing. Those smaller profile square bills can kind of take the place of the lipless when you don't have grass, because if you do have rocks or timber or anything like that, that square bill will deflect and cause reaction bites. The same way that lipless bait comes along and goes brrr, bah, and snaps out of that grass, that square bill will do that on rock and timber. It'll come up and hit that timber and go toom, bounce off, or hit that rock and bounce off. And it gets that same reaction bite, which is all you're trying to do. So definitely check out the smaller square bills to replace that lipless crankbait bite. That's going to be a great thing to do. Also, sometimes on those clear lakes like Canyon can be really clear, especially in the fall. You got to downsize. I mean, I hate to say it, but you got to drop shot. You got to shaky head with small worms and small line. Definitely a good time of the year to go finesse with straight tail worm type presentations in the fall. Has the small spinnerbait bite kicked off yet? It should. Here's the deal. I'm fishing so shallow and around so much grass right now that I'm throwing this with the Owner Flashy Swimmer on it, and that basically is my weedless small spinnerbait. I would think they're probably biting a small spinnerbait. I haven't gotten around to throwing it yet. I would think that it would work right now. All right, I'm kind of experimenting with some new software. I told you guys to join early tonight. I'm having a little bit of a hard time seeing the comments that I missed. I'm trying to scroll back to them. The comments on this software fade away really fast, so I kind of have a hard time seeing all of them. So, if you had, somebody asked, is this the Felon? No, this is not the Felon. This is the Baby Poacher from Smash Tech Custom Baits. The Baby Poacher. It's a really small bait. Really small bait. Great fast tail kick action. What is my setup for that swim bait? You can kind of throw that on what you would throw, say, a swim jig or a spinner bait on. I like a 7.5 medium heavy. If you have a heavy, it better have a lot of tip. But yeah, 7.4, 7.5 medium heavy. Not too much tip, just a little bit. Just a little bit. The Lux series has a rod. It's a 7.5 heavy, but it has a moderate tip. That is, to me, one of the best small swim bait rods I've ever thrown in my life. It's an amazing small swim bait rod. I love throwing it on that. So like I said, I'm having a hard time seeing the comments that I missed. So if I missed one of your comments, if I missed a question, go ahead and drop it in again. When and where do you throw the wag shad? So that's coming. To me, the wag shad is a more aggressive version of the convict, and I think the wag shad will be perfect to throw basically towards the end of October and throughout the month of November, depending on the weather, if we get the right cold fronts. When that water gets down around 70, from 60 to 70 in the fall period, that's when I want to throw the big swim baits. Mainly I want to throw them when I see the big schools of big shad, big gizzard shad is what I want to see. And if I see that grouping up in the creeks, I'm definitely reaching for a big bait. I think the wag shad is going to be a really good bait in the fall. It's also really good in the spring as well. When the big shad start spawning on the main lake points and stuff like that, start running up, those big fish start pushing them up there, it's really good during the spring as well. If a front moves through, how does it affect the fish that are already back there? Well, right now, if a front, you should pray for a front. Right now, if we get a cold front, see, there's a little bit of a myth that goes on here. So people always think of, the day after a cold front, post-frontal conditions being the toughest conditions of the year. Except at the end of summer, before fall really gets going, those first couple cold fronts, man, day after those cold fronts, it's a game on. That water temp drops, it fires everything in the water up. They all feel better. They're all more comfortable. It's kind of like, when you get that first cold front, you let your dog out that morning and it's cold and your dog goes crazy and runs like wildfire. That's what them fish are doing too. They feel good the first time it cools off significantly. So for the first couple cold fronts, until that water gets down into the lower part of the 70s, those fish like the cold front. So how does it affect them? Right now, it affects them in a very positive way. It makes them more active. It gets them fired up. Throw some buzz baits. Get your frog going. Get your chatterbait. Get all that aggressive stuff and get going. Get after them. Now, once that water gets down into the lower part of the 70s or even into the 60s, the day after a front, you just have to slow down, man. It makes it tough. Some of the toughest days of the year, some of the very best fishing of the whole year happens in the fall. We've talked about that all through this live stream. Some of the toughest days of the year happen during the fall if you catch the wrong side of a cold front after the water's already cooled off quite a bit. So that can be a really tough day, and you're asking me what to do or how it affects the fish. It makes it tough. Go to a power plant lake on that day. That's what you do. Thoughts on the Blade Aids from Smash Tech? Yeah, I've actually had the Blade Aids since before they were even released. They're a really good trailer. They're a thinner profile. They're good right now. That's a good trailer to throw right now. Yeah, that's about what I can say. When I get further into the winter, I want the bigger bulk of the live Magic Shad from Lake Fork Tackle or a swim bait trailer like the Smash Tail or Smash Tail Junior. But right now, those thin tail trailers are really good to throw, and the Blade Aid is a good one. Looking for a good weedless spoon for fishing hydrilla. Okay, so that is actually, it's so cool that we're in this garage right now because I happen to have, sitting right over here somewhere, I'm going to have to dig around and find it, but somewhere over here I have the original prototype, the final prototype version that me and Joe Spates worked on together and decided, okay, this is the one we want to go with. It's over here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. So here it is. It's a smaller flutter spoon. It's got, the big deal is it has a single hook and not a treble hook. And basically what happens is with the weight of this spoon and that single hook, when it falls down and it snags that grass, you can rip it out of that grass like a rattle trap, and it'll rip out like you're ripping a trap out and then flutter back down into the grass. And it's deadly. And where you can get this is from Joe Spates at Weedless Lures, Tackle Factory right there on Lake Fork, right there at the Little Mustang Creek Bridge. He has a shop. He's got his phone number posted outside. I don't know phone number offhand, or I'd tell it to you. But they also sell these at Lake Fork Marina as well. The single hook 5-inch spoon. It was so cool to be a part of designing this. And what's funny is my personal opinion, I don't catch most of the big fish that go in my boat. Very seldom do I catch the big fish in my boat. Once a year, maybe I'll catch a real big 10-pound fish. Not even that often, like once every other year. Because usually, I'm not even fishing the baits. I'm especially not fishing the baits that are biting the best. But there was a day where I had a customer that wanted me to fish last year, and I caught a new PB on this bait right here, on a bait that I got to help design. That was a really, really neat experience for me. A, to get to help a legend like Joe Spates design a new take on his awesome bait, and B, to verify it by catching my new PB on it. So, awesome bait right there. What's your connection knot for a spinning rod? I don't ever use a spinning rod, ever. I'll drop shot real light stuff. I'll throw weightless plastics all on bait casters. But when I do have customers that use spinning rods, the FG knot's really good. I've used a uni to uni in the past, but if you have smaller guides and you need to tie a leader, then you've got to go to like an FG or something like that. Are docks good right now? Yeah, there is some good dock fishing right now. You know, it's kind of a deal on Lake Fork. I know the docks and stuff so well that I have a select few docks, and I'll run by and hit one, and we'll catch a couple fish off of them, and then we'll go back to doing something else. I've really been on this bait migration to the backs of the creeks because it kind of happened in a big way here lately, and that's kind of what I've been focusing on. But before that, I was fishing a lot more docks than I am now. But docks are still fishing well. There's still plenty of fish to be caught on docks, especially docks that correlate to transition type structures. So points towards the mouth of a creek, a dock that's on that. Secondary points inside the creeks. Just transitional stop signs as fish are migrating. Those docks that correlate to that type of structure are really holding some fish right now. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up for the evening, man. Wish all of you the best of luck, and I thank all of you so much for joining us live on Thursday night. We'll be right back here next week. We have a free seminar tomorrow at Lake Fork Marina at 6 p.m. We're going to have a special first-time guest. We're going to have some shirts to give away, so make sure that you show up tomorrow night at Lake Fork Marina at 6 p.m. If you're in the area, we would love to meet you, love to see you, and we can do some more of this, man. Talk about fishing. You can ask us questions. We'll get into it, and yeah, guess that's about it. I'm all talked out. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.